Welcome back, Zane here with you, and thank you for joining me today. In this video, I want to talk about housing in Australia and what I believe is the number one solution to those people who have been locked out of the housing market. Now, of course, this is not financial advice, but the problem we've got is that our financial advisors are late to the party when it comes to digital commodities, gold, silver, hard assets. They're incentivized to recommend asset classes that are inside the system, and the problem is that they're not performing. What we've got now is a real problem when it comes to inflation, which is caused essentially by the debasement of currency, monetary expansion, and this has really happened at an accelerated rate over the last 4 years. And we can see it on the ground. You know, there's people now who really have been locked out of the housing market. The young people have really no chance of ever getting in, unless, of course, they inherit, property, or the bank of mum and dad steps up and is able to help them into the market. People who are obviously in their prime years, if they're out of the market, then the chances of them ever being able to save enough to get a deposit and then to get a loan, that's a big issue as well. And all we're really hearing in the media is that the fault of this comes down to, a lack of homes being built and immigration. But there's so much more to it than that, and really the dark and sinister side to it is the debasement of our currency. It's not that the value of homes are increasing exponentially the way that it appears. It's that the value of our purchasing power is being destroyed at a rapid rate. And I'm not the only one saying this. There are many experts out there who apportion this crisis that we're in, this inflationary crisis, to reckless money printing. And the problem we've got now is that our currency is really not backed by anything the way that it once was. And so every time that the government decides to spend, to give free handouts, to institute some form of quantitative easing to prop up the market, like we saw during the health crisis when businesses were shut down, people couldn't go to work, this creates inflation, and thereby diluting the purchasing power of savers. So people who have money in the bank, every time more currency is issued, essentially it reduces the purchasing power of the dollars that they have. And so this is the fundamental reason why, when we're looking at asset classes, we need to look at assets that are not only beating the inflation rate that is told to us, which is 3 to 5%, but also the monetary expansion rate. And together, price increases and monetary expansion combined total what is known as the hurdle rate. And this is really the rate that we need to be ensuring that our assets and our money is keeping up with, in order for us to ensure that we don't have a boat with a hole in it and essentially we're gradually sinking to the bottom. And that's what's happening with people's savings right now. It doesn't matter how much you want to, prepared to give up and how many things you're prepared to forego to save money, to hopefully in 2 years, 5 years time be able to afford a home. By the time you get to that 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the track, the price of those homes is going to be exponentially greater than it is now. So you're just not going to be able to keep up and to be able to eventually get there. And so what's the solution? Until 2009, the solution has always been gold. Gold has been the hardest form of money for 5,000 years. But gradually what has happened over time is that gold is being demonetized now by another form of gold, which is digital gold, otherwise known as Bitcoin, which is a scarce, desirable asset, digital property. And we're in the early stages of, I believe, mass adoption when it comes to Bitcoin, because people haven't really yet woken up to the fact that it is the ultimate hedge against inflation. It is the ultimate solution if you want to own digital property and you can't access or get into the housing market. And I believe that when the average person in the street wakes up to this fact, we're going to have, untold wave of money come into this space. I mean, we're already seeing it now with the likes of BlackRock and Larry Fink, who's widely recognized as the most powerful fund manager in the world as the head of BlackRock. It wasn't that long ago when he referred to Bitcoin as being basically an index for money laundering. And I think at the time, Bitcoin was priced at around 3,000 Australian dollars. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's around about that. And but now they're all on board with Bitcoin. But the problem now is that Bitcoin is priced at 95,000 Australian dollars. And so, do you think Larry Fink, somebody who is as smart as he is and who has as much control and who is embedded into Wall Street as heavily as he is, do you think that he would have preferred to buy into Bitcoin at 3,000 Australian dollars or 95,000? I mean, we all know the answer to that. So even smart people who don't need Bitcoin or don't think that they need it, in time they're going to need it. And this is why we have a saying in Bitcoin that basically states that, people get Bitcoin at the price that they deserve. And anybody who fobs off Bitcoin, who says, I don't need it, I'm already making myself, $2 or $3 million a year, it's not something I need to be concerned about, they're not thinking about not just the capital growth and inflationary solution that Bitcoin solves, but they're also forgetting about capital controls and the way that in countries like Greece and Lebanon in the past, we've seen how at the flick of a switch, people's bank accounts can be frozen, people's assets can be seized in a world where nobody would have expected in 2019 that we would have seen what we did in 2020, 2021. I mean, who would have thought that? So we have to understand that these things can happen now. We're in a different world now where nothing's off the table. And, if you care about your financial future, your financial freedom, your financial sovereignty, if you've been locked out of other asset classes such as real estate and you're trying to think, well, not what's the next best thing, then I would definitely encourage you to do some homework and start learning about Bitcoin. Just start by downloading the book on Amazon, The Bitcoin Standard by Saifedean Ammous. Start there. That's where I started. And, that book there, if you read that book or listen to it on audio, I guarantee you that your whole perspective around the currency that you earn, this fiat currency called the Australian dollar, the US dollar, the euro, whatever it is that you're earning, your whole perspective is going to change. And you are going to realize that no matter how hard you work to exchange your physical output, your labor, your energy for that currency, you are essentially trading that intellectual property and labor for a currency that is becoming worth less and less and less. And unless you're in the top 5% of revenue generators, income earners, and you can access these scarce desirable assets such as high quality real estate in scarce desirable locations such as close to the beach and close to the city, you're just not going to be able to maintain a high quality standard of living in this inflationary environment that we're in. And so, again, another article over the weekend about how you need $200,000 as a household just to enter the housing market now in Australia. And, I think the average wage in Australia is still sitting at around $80,000 to $90,000. So you need 2 times that plus a bit more, the average household, just to enter the housing market now, not to mention the level or the type of home that you can access and where that is located to get in. And so definitely for me, the alternative, and it's the thing I'm encouraging people to take a good look at, do the homework, do a bit of research. If you care about your financial freedom, your financial sovereignty, retiring early, protecting your savings, you got to get educated. And we're in an environment now where it really calls for that. And, because all the red flags are there, the signs are there, the stage has been set now. There's a lot of predictions that Bitcoin, by the time we get to 2030, it's going to be sitting at around 1.5 million US dollars, which will put it somewhere in the range of 1.5 to 2 million Aussie. So you can see, based on where it is now, there's no other asset class that you can think of unless you buy beachfront property, or a house, right in the city in Sydney, maybe, where you're going to be able to get that type of return. But of course, then you've got to pay holding rates and mortgages and maintenance and all of those things that you don't need to do with Bitcoin. Plus, Bitcoin is portable. It's something you can take with you. So if the shit hits the fan again and we start seeing, COVID Mark II and all sorts of new, or a world war, all sorts of new draconian measures put in place and capital controls put in place, then you have an exit strategy as well to take your purchasing power and your wealth and your finance with you. So those are my thoughts today. Read the Bitcoin Standard. I've just read another book called Broken Money by Lynn Alden. Again, you can get it on Amazon, and I would start there. And if you don't like reading or you don't like listening, get on your YouTube and tune into some podcasts. Listen to Michael Saylor. Listen to the What Is Money show by Robert Breedlove and his interviews with Michael Saylor. There's a whole series there on YouTube that they filmed about 2 years ago. This will open your eyes to the problem of broken money that we're faced with right now, which most people just can't put their finger on. And it'll make you start to realize that if you're going to work for this depleting, devaluing currency that's being destroyed by the central banks and the government, then you better be putting it in a safe place that won't just preserve, but will actually grow your purchasing power and your wealth over time. Because if you don't do that in an inflationary, soon to be in hyperinflationary environment that we're in, in 3, 4, 5 years time, the savings that you got are going to be worth very, very little. So that's my message today. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you to the new subscribers and the comments. Please comment down below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Till then, again, thanks for listening. This is Zane signing out. Have a great day.